Tonight on Joy News Prime, lawyer for some of the accused persons said to have been involved in a plot to overthrow the presidency admits one of his clients bought some guns but denies they were to be used for a coup.
We have said that the young man, the Sesule, who is on the run, was the one who took them to the military installation. How can civilians walk to a military installation to test gun?
The court have meanwhile denied bail to the accused but urged state prosecutors to fast-track the case. 6-year-old boy whose fingers were allegedly crushed by the uncle for stealing food at home said to be recuperating.
My uncle boiled hot water and dipped my fingers into it. The water was very hot.
The Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service has meanwhile indicated it will take in the boy. Minority in Parliament warns Finance Minister against peddling falsehood with economic figures when he presents the 2020 budgets this week.
The minority would like to caution the Minister for Finance to desist from such unconventional financial manipulation. He is advised to correct all this fiscal misreporting in the 2020 budget and economic policy of government. Failure to hit this caution and advice, the minority will use all constitutional provisions.
I'm Mr. Lion. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomili here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay tuned in. A defense lawyer in the trial of 10 persons accused of plotting a coup has told the Kaneshie District Court hearing the case one of its clients was involved in the testing of guns at the Teshi military shooting range. Yava maintains the guns involved were to be used for protection and not to stage a coup. The court has meanwhile urged state prosecutors to speed investigations to enable the case progress. In a related development, the High Court judge hearing the bail application for the accused, Justice George Bwedi, has turned down the request, saying they have not been kept in custody unreasonably. Court correspondent Joseph Akable reports.
Defense lawyer Victor Adaudu on Monday urged the court to grant bail, assuring his clients will show up when needed. He told the court his clients bought the guns to protect members of a group, take action gun, and not stage a coup as maintained by state prosecutors. He explained the decision to acquire the weapons was informed by an attack on members of the group during an outreach in the northern part of Ghana. It was during the test firing of the weapons that some of the accused persons were arrested.
We have said that the young man, the Sesule, who is on the run, was the one who took them to the military installation. How can civilians walk to a military installation to test gun? So he's the one. We are just saying that, listen, we know those who are involved, those who have done this, we know. And it was this same gentleman who comes with the idea that, listen, it is dangerous to travel without protection. So I, being an aide to a senior military officer, that was his personal bodyguard, I would use my position with my superior to get a gun and license it for you. So which ordinary citizen, when he wants maybe a gun, which will be licensed, is it a crime to license a gun? It is not.
In opposing the bail application for the accused, state prosecutors argue that the state does not suspect them of plotting a coup, but rather knows as a matter of fact that they agreed and plotted to overthrow government. They maintain some of the accused are serving officers of the armed forces and could interfere with investigations since the state's witness also includes soldiers. The court presided over by Justice George Bwedi in its ruling noted that the accused persons were lawfully arrested and have not been kept beyond reasonable limits. He also noted that the senior military officer among the accused could interfere with investigations. On the junior ranked soldiers, he said there is precedence on their involvement in successful coups.
I think we are okay. We'll take the ruling, look at it, and wait patiently, and we'll see at the appropriate time what we can do.
Back at the district court where the main case was being heard, family members of the accused persons once again poured libation.
So we are saying that those who plan against him.
You say what? What's this libation about?
It's about Gamali's innocence on this issue. Colonel Gamali is innocent about all the issues. So we are just praying for our gods to guide him throughout the case. That is all.
Magistrate Eliano Botri advised that state prosecutors conclude investigations as quickly as possible.
After trial, the court says that we've not found you guilty. And the most other thing I was making application, you've locked the hospital. There are people working. Human rights, good governance. Are they not doing legitimate job? Is it because their superior is in problem, so the whole hospital should be locked? His house, he has family, he has wife, he has children. Who sleeps in the house? You lock the house. You've gone there to do your investigation. You found nothing. His cars that the family uses, you've kept the key.
The case has been adjourned to November 20 for hearing to continue. For joining us from the Kaneshie District Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
The Public Interest and Accountability Committee has expressed its appointment in the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation for disregarding public opinion in its decision to spend up to 2 million cedis as its corporate social responsibility to a number of institutions. The amount includes 120,000 cedis for the First Lady's Rebecca Foundation and 500,000 cedis for the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, approved by the GNPC board. Several civil society organizations and anti-corruption bodies, including the Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo, was particularly worried with the allocation to Yoko.
I'm not very sure whether Yoko has collected money from them or not. But being an oversight institution like mine, I would say no, I won't go near it at all. There is no way that GNPC can come and say, Auditor General, get 20 Ghana cedis, and I will accept it. Because, you see, as an oversight body, you must not only be independent, but must be seen as independent.
Okay.
So if an oversight body is partaking in the booty and goes back to provide oversight, who will trust them? They may even do professional work, but they've compromised, jeopardized their independence, which I think has to be avoided. I'm not very sure whether they collected it, so that's why I say I'm assuming what you are saying is correct. But I think that is not a way to go. For instance, if I'm partaking from the money in GNPC and I go back and audit them, will you believe the findings that I bring? Will you say that I'm very independent in the opinion that I may be expressing? That is why we should not go there. Let me make a quick point here. The board has right to make decisions. But one of the things the board must have to understand that they can only make decisions within the ambit of the law. The Constitution, which is the supreme law of Ghana, under Article 178, says you can use public funds only the way that is prescribed or allowed by the law. So maybe during an audit, we interrogate to find out whether the laws of GNPC allows the money to be used that way. If not, then I think it may not be a right thing. So yes, there are administrative structures like boards and management, etc., who take decision. But one thing I would like to advise them about is that every time they should try and make sure they are within the law. If the law does not permit it, then I think it's a no.
If my understanding of the law is that I can use this for cultural diversity or I can use it to promote Ghanaian lifestyle in some way, then I can go ahead and make such a donation.
So if I think I'm promoting cultural diversity by giving the money to my family or friends for personal business, should that be allowed? So that is why the supreme law of this country, the Constitution, has put in place the requirement that the court or the Supreme Court interpret the Constitution for all of us. So if in the course of our audit, for instance, and we don't agree, we are going to disallow the expenditure and surcharge and tell you to go to court and let's go and get interpretation from the court. Because if we allow individuals to interpret the law, I think it's going to be an anarchy. Everybody has got his selfish interest, and for that matter may say that is national interest.
General Manager in charge of sustainability at GNPC, Dr. Kwame Ba-Nwankwo, says the corporation has started processes leading to the release of funds. He maintains Yoko's independence will not be compromised with the receipt of this donation.
I'm supposed to even inform the beneficiaries of these funds that at the meeting of the board they've approved this, so that we even start the process of thinking about how to even release the funds. None of such thing had happened.
Has this since been approved?
Well, I'm going to start working. I got a call from some of them today, and I mean sometimes the difficult one is that they felt embarrassed that they had made a request to GNPC. GNPC had not even informed them that they had approved their request, for them to hear in the media that GNPC had given them money. Why wouldn't he think that maybe it strengthens an institution in Ghana that potentially investigates everybody in the country to make sure that we save money? I think we focus too much on the negatives in this country.
You don't think the donation could compromise the independence of that organization in relation to GNPC?
Are you saying that if there's a challenge in finance ministry, YOCO cannot investigate the finance ministry?
Member of PIAC, Nana Ejenim Boateng, says GNPC should invest more in its core mandate.
Yes, as an accountability institution, all that we can do for now is to wait, and if that money or those monies are truly distributed to these organizations, as you mentioned, all that we can do is to demand accountability from them, because that is our job and that is what the law mandates us to do. That wherever all your revenue goes, we, as a public interest and accountability committee, we have to demand accountability. We wish, or we would have appreciated, if funds are channeled to other areas that we think that forms part of the core mandate of GNP, but not forgetting the fact that they also, as an institution, can go ahead with corporate social responsibility. And as we are advocating that the laws should be looked up again, and the possibility of capping GNPC when it comes to some of this expenditure.
Well, less than 48 hours to the crucial 2020 budget presentation, the minority in Parliament is warning government against peddling falsehood with economic figures. The NDC MPs who have painted a gloomy picture of the economy are threatening to take legal action against government should the finance minister fail to present the real state of the economy on Wednesday. The ranking member on the Finance Committee says government's harsh policies have worsened the plight of the Ghanaian.
It is not surprising that the public debt, which stood at 120.3 billion at the end of December 2016, has risen to 205.5 billion at end July 2019. The increase of the public debt of about 85.2 billion within a period of 31 months is very alarming and worrying. The public debt increased by 45.8 billion between July 2018 to July 2019. Within 1 year, public debt increased by 45.8 billion. This represents about 53.76% of the total increase in the public debt between July 2018 and 2019. This implies that the public debt is increasing at an increasing rate, which is very troubling. The minority would like to caution the Minister for Finance to desist from such unconventional financial manipulation. He is advised to correct all this fiscal misreporting in the 2020 budget and economic policy of government. Failure to hit this caution and advice, the minority will use all constitutional provisions available to resist this act. In the NPP's 2016 manifesto, they promised to reduce corporate income tax from 25% to 20%. This has not been implemented, and since this is going to be their last budget, we will urge His Excellency the President and his government, through the Minister of Finance, to fulfill this promise that the NPP made in their manifesto to reduce the corporate income tax from 25% to 20%. Also, in their 2016 manifesto, the NPP promised to remove both components, the 1% and 2%, of the special import levy. They removed the smaller component, which is the 1%, in 2016, but then decided to extend the larger component, the 2%, which forms approximately 80% of the levy, to December 2019. Again, we urge the President, through the Minister for Finance, to keep its promise of removing the 2% special import levy in the coming budget.
Former Deputy Finance Minister and member of the Finance Committee, Fifi Kwete, says government's borrowing over the years has amounted to nothing.
And so if you have a leader who cannot be trusted, effectively that's a leader that has no business being in leadership. And the worst part is when you have a finance minister who goes about quoting Bible at every opportunity. And as I too clearly pointed to you, it's a systematic liar and has no integrity. That those people have no business being in government. Yes. No wonder they will tell you 1 million per constituency. And all you as they tell you, oh, we are constructing KVIPs. KVIPs, even during what's the name? HIPIC. We have KVIPs that were constructed. And you think that you can deceive the people of Ghana that $1 million for every constituency amounts to KVIPs? But actually should tell you the KVIP level of governance that we have in our country. Really, that's what it is. They reduce governance to nothing short of toilet in KVIP mentality. That's really what is going on. We are in the midst of the trumpeting and the singing, things are collapsing left, right, and center. Take a look at the level of sanitation. Fields has engulfed this country. Accra has become the filthiest country virtually in the whole of Africa. When you have a president that claims that's going to make this country the cleanest, then again you see what's going on. When you have a group of liars.
Member of Parliament for Bolga Central Isaac Adongo also accused the Securities and Exchange Commission of illegally revoking the licenses of some 53 fund managers. A member of the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, at the news conference alleged the finance minister is compelling mining companies to advance about 1 billion cedis to the state without recourse to Parliament.
Taxes on petrol is gone up. Taxes on diesel is gone up. Taxes on LPG that we need in order to fight afforestation is gone up. And yet there is nothing to show for it. I want to put on record that I'm well informed that the Honorable Ken Foreta is compelling the mining companies to advance an amount of 1 billion upfront, and that he intends issuing long-term bonds to them. Let me send a word of caution to the mining companies that on assumption of office on the 7th of January 2021, the Mahama administration would not honor any illegal payments. And let me send a strong warning to the mining companies. Has to come to Parliament. And all companies that are giving money to this government without recourse to Parliament in contravention of the Public Financial Management Act, that when we come to power, we have so much on our hands, we have so much to do, we would not use limited scarce resources to pay for dubious payments to this government. Also, when it comes to prosecution, it will be restricted to just officials. If you collaborate and you participated, you'll be held liable for that.
However, says it has not received any such request from government to advance 1 billion cedis to it. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo is described as pointing in the right direction, all the fundamentals of Ghana's economy, having successfully turned around the country's fortunes since he assumed the reins of power. He cited, among others, the large fiscal deficit, considerable imbalances in the way in which the economy was being run, and a 15.4% inflation, which he says now stands at 7.6%. The president made this known on Monday when he spoke as part of a panel including President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa and President Paul Kagame of Rwanda at the African Investment Forum's Invest in Africa's Space event, currently ongoing in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Doing since I came into office nearly 3 years ago is to strengthen the macroeconomy of our country. We inherited a situation, a large fiscal deficit that has been turned around now, considerable imbalances in the way in which our economy was being run, and that has also been turned around. A 15–16% rate of inflation is today at 7%, the lowest in 2 decades in the management of our national economy. And these are the building blocks for us. The macroeconomy, we think, is extremely important that we maintain discipline in the way in which we manage our public finances. And that has been our major objective. And so far, so good. We're realizing, and we're resisting the temptation in an election year which is about to go to turn on the tap. Hoping that the work we have done will take us through without having to do that. But So that's one very important background to the development of the Ghana. And the rest of it, and the consequences of it, of course, has been that in these 3 years, we've had one of the fastest growing economies, not just on the continent, but in the world, 8%, 7%. This year, we're looking at a 7.6% growth. And it's been consistent over these last 3 years.
Touching on the development of infrastructure on the continent and in Ghana, President Akufo-Addo said his government is paying a lot of attention to the development of the country's roads, railways and airport infrastructure. He added that transformation of Ghanaian agriculture is one his government has been focused on since assuming office in January 2017, resulting in the institution of the program for planting for food and jobs, which has seen a revival of the sector.
So you have an expanding. We're also paying a great deal of attention to the modernization of our agriculture. We have a program which we've called Planting for Food and Jobs. That is proving to be, and I want to be modest in saying so, but it's proving to be a spectacular success in Ghana. First of all, in the way in which it's addressing foodstuffs. We're now, for the first time in over a decade, exporting foodstuffs to our neighbors. Generally, there's a big thrust of the development of our economy in agriculture. Very, very keen in developing private sector interests. Because as you know, Ghanaian agriculture is largely smallholder agriculture. But then there is also the opportunity for large commercial agriculture to coexist side by side with the smallholder, the farmers. We're looking for investments in that area. And the third is we've established a Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. And we are looking for money from outside also to invest in the fund. It becomes a major leverage for us for attracting monies to deal with our infrastructure. So we have a broad range. Our country, as you know, the country that used to be known as the Gold Coast, we have a lot of important minerals in our country. And we're looking to see how we can bring value to those imports, not to those resources, not just the export of them in their raw form.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still hiding the bulletin. 6-year-old boy whose fingers were allegedly crushed by the uncle for stealing food at home said to be recuperating. The Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Services meanwhile indicated it will take in the boy.
My uncle boiled hot water and dipped my fingers into it. The water was very hot.
A 6-year-old boy whose fingers were pounded and dipped in boiling water by his uncle for taking soup and fish is recuperating at the Rich Hospital here in Accra. Joy News has learned the boy's mother, who lives in Togo, is currently en route to Accra to attend to her son after the story broke. The boy's uncle, Nicholas Kwesi, is said to have brought him from Togo to give him a better life. Jojo Kobna will join us shortly after we bring you the boy's story.
My uncle boiled hot water and dipped my fingers into it. The water was very hot. I wanted to take it out, but he threatened to beat me. And so he put my hands into the water till it became cold.
That is the story of 6-year-old boy, whom I choose to call Alovi to protect his identity. Narrating his story, Alovi said he was starving at night, so he woke up at dawn and went for some food. His uncle, identified as Efo Nicholas Kwesi, who is currently his guardian, upon noticing that some fish in the soup had disappeared, the following morning started beating Alovi and his senior brother to confess. Alovi confessed, and the uncle, who was infuriated that the boy had stolen fish from the soup, hit his fingers with a neem tree branch and then dipped his hands into hot water.
We usually have breakfast After 11 a.m., we had not eaten that morning, and our uncle told us to wait till 1 p.m. to have food. He gave us the food at 1 p.m., but did not feed us in the evening. When my brother took the food, he was angry in the morning. He hit him with a belt, then beat him with a neem tree branch. He beats us often.
Neighbors who had not seen Alovi for the past 3 days inquired and eventually found him in the bathroom of an uncompleted building. They rescued him and sent Efo Nicholas Kwesi to the Amasaman police station.
Uncompleted I saw
the boy in an uncompleted building. His fingers were badly injured. I reported what I saw to elders in the community. Because he had abused the boy, we arrested him and took him to the police station, the Amasaman police station to be precise. And they gave us medical forms and told us to go to the Amasaman hospital for treatment. Amasaman referred us to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Police station.
At Kolebu, we were told to return on Monday. We went to police hospital.
Police hospital.
But they wanted us to pay some money before treatment, and we had no money.
Neighbors of Mahian are now housing the two boys, but they do not have money to take care of Alovi's medical bills. His fingers are rotting away. Amasaman police station confirmed the story, but officers declined further comments. Why will the police not follow up on the welfare of the two abused boys after arresting their only guardian? This question is begging for answers. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
And Jojo Kobna, who put together that story, joins us via Skype right now with the very latest on it. Jojo, now I want to know, first of all, how is the boy doing? I know you've gone to visit him in hospital.
So the boy is doing better than he was doing yesterday. When I saw him yesterday, as we saw in the video, you could see that the pus was oozing from his hands, the two hands. But currently, he's doing far better. I learned that the surgeons took out his, the broken nails and then bandaged it and gave him treatment. And you could see IV fluid running on his left hand. And so the boy is doing better than he was doing yesterday. And I spoke with him, and he said he was feeling better than he felt yesterday.
Can the fingers be saved?
That is one question that I've been trying to get answers to from the nurses. One nurse said they're doing the best that they can and that they will brief me later. I went to see the medical director of the Ridge Hospital so that I could get more details, but he said I got to know when I got there, I could not speak to him. He was locked up in various meetings, and so they said they would update us later. But there's one very interesting development. The interesting development, we learned that the child, the mother is alive, and the mother is a Togolese, and she would be coming to Ghana. She's actually on her way on a bus to Ghana. So that is the latest on the story. The boy is not an orphan, and the uncle took them from their mother with a promise that he was going to give them a better life. And so that is what I'm finding out, that they are currently on their way.
All right, thank you very much, Jojo Kobna. Jojo Kobna has been following the story of a 6-year-old boy whose fingers were pounded and dipped in boiling water by the uncle. A very disturbing story there. Navigating the path of cultural identity could be a difficult one, especially for those with dual nationality. Well, but for Nanette Ichiahene Barry, a first-generation Ghanaian American, putting difficult memories of the past about Ghana behind her makes her wish to connect with her home country even more interesting. Joining us, Justice Beto visited her home in Los Angeles and asked the rest of the story.
This is just a grocery store.
Nanette Ichiahene Barry's father went abroad on a government scholarship in the mid-1960s. He was one of many sponsored by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, so he could bring back his knowledge to help the newly independent Ghana build.
That's one thing that's different.
In the middle of his study, Dr. Nkrumah was overthrown and a scholarship cut.
For my father, that was a hard time.
Nanette's family settled in the U.S. and hardly looked back home to Ghana, in part because of that painful memory.
He had to living on little to no food sometimes just to make sure he paid for his university. So this is my father in Ghana and his oldest sister.
Growing, navigating that path of fitting into an American society would forever change her perception about life and her own country.
My mother used to do our hair with certain Ghanaian styles, like with the threading. And when we were younger and we were staying at home, those styles were fine. But as soon as we started going to school and kids would start calling us Medusa and insulting us because of our hairdo, we had to let our mother know to stop doing our hair like that.
Now she has connected with her Ghanaian family in Ghana and wants her daughter to do same.
I feel like my mom has even improved the relationship with Ghana more, because if it was up to my grandparents, I'm not sure if they would have wanted us to have a super strong connection with Ghana. So I would say she's improving it. You know, she wants her hypothetical grandkids to be fully Ghanaian. You know, she doesn't want them to be super confused or whatever. She wants them to have a strong relationship with Ghana. So
grandmother with all her grandkids.
Her daughter, she too torn between a Ghanaian mother, a Sierra Leonean father, and an American citizenship. Following her mother's trail, is keen on coming to Ghana.
In elementary school, I got like a little bit of a, do you speak African? Like, do you live in huts? And the African booty scratcher. I got a tad bit of that, to the point where I just got uncomfortable with saying I was African.
They both want to do that as soon as possible, and in her own words, connect with her first love. Justice Beto, Joy News, Los Angeles, California.
And that'll be all for the bulletin. But up next, we're bringing you our Hotline documentary. Unfortunately, though, we're unable to bring you our advertised documentary, Dawn to Dust. Instead, we bring you Blood on the Highway, a film on the devastating impact of road crashes on individuals and families. This is produced by Adelaide Arthur. Stay tuned in.